Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it? Let's get it.
What's up, Cowboys Nation?
What is up? Welcome to another edition of the Cowboys Cave. We're working overtime, as you can see. We're back-to-back shows. My man Kelly K9, how you doing tonight, brother?
Back for the second night in a row and ready to get into this and rock this. We got a great guest, gonna bring some great insight. This man is, if you don't already know, this man is a space marathoner, man. He runs these spaces on Twitter, and the man will run these things for like 5 hours, man. I mean, you'll talk about people running a marathon. He's running Cowboys draft talk, anything you want to talk marathon, you get on there. Nix is gonna have it covered. So without further ado,
we bring the man in, the man, the myth, the legend. What's up, my man Nix? How you doing?
Man, doing fantastic. I've been waiting.
Get you on the big time.
There it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
You get the big time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Kelly be. Kelly's gonna control.
we're gonna let him shine, baby.
I've been waiting to get into the cave, so I've been ready for this. I was just in the wings, playing my part, waiting for the call. Broke out the draft hat. It is officially draft season, Cowboys Nation.
Yeah.
So I had to bring up the draft cap tonight and chop it up with my guys.
Before we get started,
opportunity too.
Before we get started, because everyone should know where to find you. If they don't, they've been living under a rock. But just hit everything up with all the great things you do, man. Where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Twitter, spaces and everything, as Kane and I was just talking about, man, is your _guy_Nix, NIX. You can catch me over there on Twitter. And then each and every Friday, we've been doing our live mock Friday shows, Pick Six Sports on YouTube. Come over there, me, Professor O, Spoonie, and my guy Dom. This week, we're doing top 10 linebackers and tight ends. So we're breaking down our top 10 on that for the draft. And of course, live mock. And then the next 2 weeks, we're unveiling our top 50 board. So I'm super excited, man.
Man, it's going to be here before you know it. So,
yeah,
we'll get it. We got to get us some draft talk. Now, first of all, is there, from my man Kelly, is there any Texas Tech guys that Cowboys are going to be drafting? What do we got for him?
Man, I don't know if there's going to be anybody that the Cowboys are going to be drafting outside. I mean, Tyree Wilson, edge rusher, but he's going to be up there. He's going top 10. He won't be there when we draft, but outside of him, I don't really think there's going to be any Tech guys for the Cowboys to be drafting. But we'll have to wait another year for that.
Yeah, we'll get it. But listen, what I wanted to start with you guys is you had the offseason. Now the Cowboys took a lot of heat, Jerry, and they took a lot of heat. Now this year they produced, right? We got the cornerback, we got Gilmore, we get Cooks, re-sign some of our guys. So you hear this best player available, now we kind of can do some things we want to do. Guy there, you take him. If not, you don't have to reach. What's your thoughts on that, Nix, as being the draft guy?
It's BPA-ish. is kind of what it is, You want to set yourself up, obviously, to be in the position of, hey, whatever's the best on our board, we can take, right? That's what you want to do, ultimately. What every team wants to do, not just the Cowboys. And typically what rolls into and what ends up happening is it's BPA by positions of need. That's the ish part. Well, if I got 4 needs, well, what's the best player available of those, 4 needs? And you've seen it with the Cowboys before, right? And we were just talking before we came on, going back to in the Micah Parsons draft. Mm-hmm. Everybody knew they had paid themselves in the corner. They wanted a cornerback. And then, the board got wiped. Here you are, trade back Parsons, and you ended up with Kelvin Joseph in the second round. So, for me, I kind of look at the lay of the land of the Cowboys right now. They've done a great job in the moves you just talked about, Tag. I mean, they've done a great job covering their base to allow them to be very flexible in the draft, right? But that left guard position,
That's hold on, huh?
I mean, you brought a guy in, Chuma, former third-round pick, from the Jets.
Yeah.
I think he started, it's like 16 or 17 games in his career. So you would feel okay lining up there, but they're looking to upgrade it, right? And so if we know that here from the comforts of our own home, Well, the board and everybody else in the draft. So again, the Cowboys are very well set up to go BPA if they really want to in the truest fashion. But they gotta keep their eye definitely on guard and have a way of they want to attack this draft, whether it's 26, whether it's 90. Of who they're trying to angle to and who they want to get to.
Yeah, yeah. And Kelly, jump in on that. But the question I have is I mean, we lost, obviously, you lose Zeke, Pollard, little injury. They get Jones. I mean, Kelly and I talk about, I'm not sold on him. I mean, I think Zeke is a better running back today than Jones. So do you think the Cowboys could be painting themselves in a little bit of a corner with running back? Because it doesn't seem like it's real deep in running back. And you got Robinson. Everyone's talking about Robinson or Gibbs. I mean, what's your thoughts, drafting a running back there? Is that something – or are you one of those saying, hey, just get it later? But how can you pass up a splash player, or do you get the guard? You know what I mean? If you're put with that position.
Yeah, and running back's very deep this draft, actually. For
really?
what it's worth.
Everything I've seen it's been like
it's very deep. Here's the thing for me, and and I tweeted this out January 26th. I was like, if Bijan Robinson's there, that's who they're going to take.
Yeah,
I mean, Texas, right? This, that, it makes sense where, especially how everything's even progressed at the running back position. For me, if they went Bijan, depending on how the board falls, I'm not going to hate it because I think for me, and the outlook for the Cowboys is it's win now.
Yeah,
right. It's win now, and you're going to be hard pressed to find if with a guy at 26 is going to give you more impact out the gate than Bijan. Now, I like Gibbs a lot out of Alabama as well. But here's the thing. If you're not taking Bijan there at 26, then don't talk to me about running back to 90 or 129 then at that point. Okay. If you're going to get the best of the best, you want to get the blue chipper, because I'm probably around 18 first-round grades right now. Bijan's a first-round grade is where it's at. So if he's there on the board, I mean, I can understand it. It makes a lot of sense monetarily as well, too. Neither here nor there. But the instant impact, though, is there, and Cowboys Nation is ready to get over the hump and do something. They put themselves in a good position. What they've done this talent acquisition period, and him coming in, maybe it's not the best ideal thing long term. I know people get caught up in second contracts and the running backs and all that. But one thing I tell people is picking a running back at 4th isn't the same thing as picking a running back at 26, though, either. Yeah. So if you're looking to get over the hump for the Cowboys, I can understand them buying to the Bijan pick and giving yourself that 2-year window. With this core of guys they have here to get over the hump and maybe get to that. Hey, NFC Championship game, man. Go talk to.
Yeah,
let's just get to NFC Championship game.
One step at a time, baby step.
Well, when you're talking about the draft and the Cowboys, painting themselves in a corner or any of that, as far as what they've done, I think they've done a really good job addressing, areas of need, obviously getting some depth and stuff. But is your opinion as far as as far as a position that we still have, I guess, our biggest area of weakness? Would you say that that's still probably the offensive line, just because of, Steele obviously is maybe back, but he's coming back. He's come back from an injury. So we got to see how that's going to come along and progress. Obviously, we still got Martin playing at a high level. And then obviously we know we got Tyron Smith. You never know how many games you can get from him. So, I mean, is offensive line the area that you think you need to address? I mean, for me, it feels like that's still the position of weakness that we just, in the offseason, we haven't really done a bunch. So maybe that's where kind of they're going to be leaning at 26.
Yeah. And, that's one of the things here is offensive line, interior offensive line isn't that deep as it was in drafts past. So that's going to be an intriguing thing to see how the board falls. But the Cowboys offensive line is very much in flux. And some of that is because we don't know their ultimate plan. Some of that, right? Because still, right? Look, they say he's ahead of the the surgery, the ACL, and everything. But we heard that last year about Gallup. We saw how it worked out. But it's good to see him doing some work already. We got some video of him doing some drills and getting there without a brace, even, which I was kind of surprised. Not even a brace. Tyron Smith coming back on a contract that has him basically going to earn as much as he plays, right? Obviously, what you said, Kelly, of, hey, the injuries, I mean, do you get him a game? Do you get him 5 games? I mean, he hasn't played a full season since, 2016, 2017, something like that. But boy, what a great guy to have. You think he's a swing tackle, though, right? You feel pretty good about that. And then, of course, you have the young upstart in Tyler Smith. And now you can play with, is he going to play guard? See, I don't think I like him at tackle more than guard personally.
I would too. Yeah,
I do too.
That's my flavor of ice cream. I know there's other people think he's going to be an all-world guard. I think we had opportunities to see him at guard last year. I thought he was better at tackle. But again, even if you go with, and now get into the draft side of things. So let's say you're going to go with Tyler Smith at left guard. So still it's going to be in time for your right tackle. Okay, you're going with Tyron at left tackle. But boy, talk about drafting the guard. You might need to draft you a tackle here at 26 because, again, depending on how you feel about Matt Wiletsko, who they got last year, who's a very large human being.
That's what I was going to ask about him.
Yeah, very large human being, but we don't know where he's at in his progress. So, and we all know it's only, I mean, look, no one deserves to have a full healthy season more than Tyron Smith, okay, and what he's done here. But it's not a matter of if with him, unfortunately. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
But that's part of the influx, though, Kel, is we just don't know where they want to plug these pieces in yet.
Right.
And thankfully with Tyron last year, it was early. So then we actually got him late. And the Cowboys, to your point on offensive line, they were very fortunate because every time they had a guy hurt, they were getting someone back. So they lucked out, and you can't get that lucky every year. So it's going to be interesting. Like I always, tell the stories. When I was a kid, it used to piss me off if Dallas drafted an interior lineman or defensive tackle. All I wanted was splash. I wanted the receiver. I wanted the cornerback, running back, quarterback, whatever it was.
Right.
Now, as you get older, you get wiser, and you learn the game is.
You want that old pack of socks. You want a nice sweater to keep you warm sometimes.
So if you look outside offensive line, you look outside of running back. What other positions? I'm seeing receiver, possibly a receiver the Cowboys would get. Would that change with Cooks? The secondary, you confident with the secondary? I've always been a little concerned with linebacker and really even with Parsons rushing, being that D end. It seemed like he wore down. I hope no one yells at me for saying that, but it seemed like he slowed down a little bit as the year went on, and maybe having him do a little bit more hybrid might help. So maybe you get a guy in the line or something. I mean, there's so many options for him, I guess.
It is true. And, for me, and I just have to subscribe to this, I'm with you. I thought last year going into the season where I was at, it's like, man, Micah, 60, 65% linebacker, 30, 35% edge, have that, keep him as the rook on the chess table, let him move around and do that. And they just don't have any interest in doing that. If that was the case, then I would probably maybe be off a linebacker a little bit as far as where in the draft to go get a guy.
Yeah.
But it just seems like that's not what they're going to do with him until it's time to pay him. Because, you're a linebacker. You're not an edge player. They're going to try to get that money down.
Keep that LB on his.
Yeah. Make sure we keep that LB over there, So, yeah. So, to me, I think linebacker does matter. And linebackers not deep either. There's some guys, Drew Sanders out of Arkansas, who they actually brought in for official 30 visits today. Jack Campbell out of Iowa. I mean, Iowa, it's like Wisconsin offensive lineman. Typically, Iowa puts good defenders in the league, right? Trenton Simpson, Clemson. Obviously, they went. Our guy Dan Quinn was at the Tulane Pro Day for Dorian Williams. So I mean, they're doing their due diligence there. But I kind of circle cornerback because, hey, it's great that we have Gilmore. Don't get me wrong. It's great. He seems to be like a 1-year rental. They've already redone the Cooks contract. He's here for 2 years, right? So you Bland they want inside because even after the injury and they had Bland outside for a little bit, man, they played everybody and their mama out there and outside with Xavier Rhodes at the end of the day.
Oh, I forgot we got him.
Yeah. And they want Bland on the inside is where they want him. And we know Diggs is Diggs. So right now you look at the depth behind that.
It's not much.
Are they going to keep Lewis? Because he's like a $5. They could save $5 million if they wanted to. Now, I'm okay with keeping Jordan Lewis's last year of his contract. You got a backup slot guy, but again, in their mind with the money. And then you get past that. Well, now you're talking about Kelvin Joseph, who had 6 quarters before he got benched again after Brown got hurt. And then you have Nashawn Wright, who showed at times, he showed some things a little bit coming along, but that's it. So I think corner is very much in play for the Cowboys in the top 90 picks. Just because, again, you start 3 of these guys. Like most times in this league, you got 3 on the field more times than not. And, boy, if you lose one, you look at the depth chart there for the Cowboys, who you turn into, especially on the outside, right?
Yeah. Now this comment might upset you. What do you think, Kelly?
Nah, come on, man. We're trying to get somewhere. Hey, now, if he's there on the board, now you want to talk about Cowboys in a trade back scenario. The one thing I've been big on, if the Cowboys want to trade back and get a nice haul, you need one of the quarterbacks that somebody wants to come up and get. Whether that's Hooker, maybe Will Levis falls all the way down the board. If there's one of those guys in their 26 and somebody wants to come up for them, that's where the Cowboys can really, do their due diligence, if you will, and secure a nice bevy of draft capital in return.
Yeah.
So what do you think about, we've kind of covered all the positions. There's one here that interests me, and I know I've seen you tweet on this, Nick, is that D tackle position. That interior defensive line is something that we really, that's also a position that's been, obviously we got Hankins back on board, good there. But it seems like we need a little bit more beef up in there. And, one of the names has been kind of talked about. I've seen it on some mock drafts and stuff, is Elijah Cansey from Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts on him? Is he a guy that could be there at 26? And if so, is that a guy that could be up, do you think that would be on the Cowboys board and on their radar to draft?
Yeah. I mean, actually, I talked about this on the space last night. I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and I just feel something, and it just is what it is. And I put it out there. I'm not subscribed to anything. My mind changes a lot, and I'll let you know when it changes. But yesterday morning, I woke up, I was like, as much as them going around and looking, I've looked how they've moved, and they got back Hankins. They're selling some wolf tickets on no respect to the guy doing the opening of the show here. Won't even stay around.
Yeah, don't get rid of him, man. That's my
yeah. I'm not trying to get rid of him, but them buying the upside and things that are happening there.
Yeah.
And we just know how Dan Quinn cut from the defensive line. I think there's real like from Ozzie Smith. I don't think at 26, but I think there's real like there. But Cansey, to me, in a weird way, I think if Cansey's there, I'm not shocked if that's the pick at 26. I kind of feel that's where it's going to roll. And look, all this time of year, it's nobody can be there. Well, here's the thing. These 60 players that everybody keeps talking about, somebody's got to be there at 26. It's just simple math.
Right.
Somebody's got to be there. Who's going to be what to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, they compare him to Russell Maryland. Is that a fair comparison?
Yeah. I mean, you'll hear baby, and you'll hear some things like Aaron Donald and whatnot.
Yeah.
But man, just a ball of energy, and knows how to use his body and shoot gaps, and has very strong hands. Again, if they were taking the defense, a lot of Cowboys, well, he's 290. Okay, he's not the big, big guy. But with the Cowboys are getting Hankins back, you still have Quinn Bohan in the building.
Yeah,
you're really feeling this because you played a dumb game with Ridgeway last year. Thought you was going to be able to cut him and beat him back to the practice squad, and he got scooped. So you're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit there. So, like for me, it wouldn't surprise me. Let's say Cansey was the pick at 26. It would surprise me if we get to like the 4th or 5th round, and they take a 1-tech. It wouldn't shock me. Maybe not 4th. 4th might be a little too high. Maybe more like 5th or 6th round. Like a Slade out of Michigan State. I love Jared Clark out of Coastal Carolina as well. If you can go look that guy up, go check him out. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did that. But yeah, I think if Cansey's on the board, and look, and you put a stack together is what we usually like to do. And we put a stack of 4, and if Cansey's on the board, would he beat that stack? In that case, we probably say, then that'd probably be where it would be at. So, I think he's definitely viable if he's there available at 26 for the Cowboys.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is turning into a defensive team, right? I think we kind of see that shift going, and anything they can do to even make that defense even stronger, I'm all for. That's why, like with a draft, I think we talked about it, before the show. You don't know. I mean, you don't know. The Cowboys get ripped for, drafting certain guys in certain places. I mean, who would have thought Bland would come in and be what he did? There's so many guys, and not just with the Cowboys, but around the league. I think it's, what did they say? Over 50% of the NFL is like 4th rounders or 5th rounders and later and undrafted free agents. So, I mean, the scouting that the Cowboys have done in recent years has been really good in those later rounds. They've gotten some diamonds in the roughs. It's been contributors. Now, what I'll say is, not to change gears too much on the draft, my philosophy has always been with the Cowboys is they live and die with the draft. They expect instant results out of their draft picks. And we kind of saw that backfire last year, in my opinion, with Jalen Tolbert. He wasn't ready. He wasn't there. They got rid of Cooper. And I think they were banking on him to make an impact. He didn't. And then we just kind of saw the wide receiver kind of thing fall apart. But it seems like they put a lot of pressure on their draft picks. So is it one of those where we got to continue to hit triples and, home run here or there and all them doubles to keep it going? Or is the roster pre-draft? How you feeling about the roster pre-draft? Let me make it.
Yes. Yeah, and here's the thing with Tolbert. You wait to the third round to get a guy and then expect him to come in whenever you didn't have the table set beforehand.
Yeah,
That was the problem. If
yeah,
you knew you needed an impact guy, then you should have made it happen before the third round, okay? In my opinion. But that's kind of what they've done this year, though. To bring up Tolbert and that to this, is they went out here and they got a legitimate second corner to go with Diggs.
hmm
They went out there and they got a legitimate second wide receiver to go with Lamb. They've covered their bases at least at D tackle one, getting Hankins back. The biggest surprise to me is I didn't think they'd get Donovan Wilson back. Speaking of former, 6th round, guys that they've
yeah,
done well with, I didn't think they would get him back. And the fact they got him in LVE to cover those bases in that round, which is really good work. They didn't just sit back and wait. They got after it early and attacked it. So they've positioned themselves well. Like, for me, in the past decade, this is probably the best they've looked before the draft in how they've handled business.
yeah,
Because you flip 2/5 to go out here and get solidified guys at key positions that hurt you last year without having to just going, because times before, like, okay, we know we need a corner, we need a wide receiver, we'll go sign insert guy and we'll go draft.
yeah,
They signed force multipliers is what I like to call them. No, I'm not saying these guys are all pro or anything else, but these guys are difference makers at the position. You can't have all pros everywhere, but you got to have what I like to call adequate NFL depth. And it feels like the Cowboys are able to do that with the two trades and stuff they've done before getting to this draft.
yeah. No, and hey, I think the defense is there. Offense, I mean, we've improved. We dropped 40 on a shitty ass Eagles team and embarrassed them. So, I mean, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better, and that's what I love. I mean, Kelly, am I missing something? Because the only time I've ever seen the Cowboys play the Eagles, we beat the shit out of them every single time.
For a team that talks a lot about how great their defense were, Dak sure did cut through them like a hot knife through butter, and then they've lost, and then with how many free agents they've lost on defense, I feel like that Eagles defense is going to be ripe for the taking. So I'm ready to see this offense roll all over them.
Them 1-3 Eagles, we know how that shit goes. We know how that goes. But anyway, I digress. So, talking about offense, Kelly and I had a talk about, with the Kellen Moore, moving on from that. What was your reaction with Kellen Moore moving on? Was it time? You like kind of, were you disappointed, or we need to do something different?
I think it was just time.
Yeah.
I think Kellen Moore is a phenomenal coach. I do think your messaging and whatnot can get stale in a particular position, and sometimes you have to move on to grow. And I think over the past few years, we just kind of seen it reach its limits here for a myriad of different reasons, and it was okay to move on. So it wasn't I didn't like cheer to the gods above, like, yes, he's gone or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, it was just a matter of fact kind of thing. And seeing Mike McCarthy come in, the one thing I want to see when he first got here, right? I'm like, hey, he's a guy who called plays, won a Super Bowl. Let's let him be a little bit more active on that side. So I look, he was out there to the Chargers and they lined it up. I'm not going to be sitting and be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I expected, the kid's still young, and learning on the job. That was kind of some of the stuff there was issues with the Cowboys too, is where the team kind of position was and learning on the job. It wasn't like we was in a full rebuild situation where you could have time to do that. Hey, we got people here, we need to go now. So that was part of that equation as well.
Yeah.
And, look, talking about them 40 points we were putting up, and he was calling it up, right?
No.
So,
well, I mean, that's not really asking a lot, against the Eagles, to be honest with you. But it's when you played the 49ers or something like that, and you're running 5 wide inside the 20 with less than 2 minutes to go. That's the part, that kind of upset me a little bit. But the thing I would say, and definitely want Kelly, I want you to jump in and get your opinion. What I've always said, I probably repeat myself, I'm sure, for people listening, is you hired Mike McCarthy and you tell him he's his offense, you give him his offensive coordinator. When he's an offensive guy, you cut the legs from under the coach. And I think Moore should have been gone with that. I think him and Dak are too close. They were teammates, but I just think you need someone to challenge him. And I think with McCarthy, you kind of saw it this year. McCarthy was a lot more vocal, criticizing the offensive play call and what he would do, how he'd get his guys involved in this and that. So you kind of saw it brewing. And hey, at the end of the day, it stops with him. And if I'm in his shoes, hey, I'm handling this business. If I'm going down with the ship, I'm going to go down fighting.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it, man. I've been saying that, that McCarthy, is a guy who, like, I got faith in McCarthy, man. I'm right there, man. I'm bought in on the vision that he's got for the team. I'm anxious to see what he's gonna do this year with the offense. Obviously him and Shot, they're gonna do some things. I don't think it's gonna. I'm anxious to see like how much the offense may change. If we're gonna see shades of last year. You know, I don't really know. I don't really know. I haven't really delved that deep into it. And maybe Nick, you got some ideas on maybe what they're gonna go, because I've heard some talk about them running a little bit more maybe of like a West Coast type scheme. And that, and if that's the case, obviously I feel like they've got some of the receivers on there that could execute that. Obviously, when you get a guy in like Brandon Cooks, and maybe even seeing a guy like Turpin hit the field a little bit more. But either way, I got faith in McCarthy. I feel like everything that was criticized when he took over from the beginning, when he got this team from the beginning, everything that we've had, whether it be penalties, undisciplined play, time management, I feel all those things he's improved at over time. He's gotten better. And that's what you want to see, is you want to see a team progress and get better each year. And I think he's done that. So I think this year is the year that he could make the leap. And you know what? He's got everything in front of him now. You know what I mean? It's on him now. There's no more excuses.
Yeah, I think the big thing for McCarthy, and I've said this over the 3 years, is he was a culture changer. And it's like I tell everyone, look, you're going to take over business, right? You're going to be the man. You're replacing the manager who's been there for 11, 12 years.
Yep.
It doesn't happen overnight. Like, you have to figure out what works within the building, how the ebb and flow is, set the temperament, keep your messaging the same. And it takes time to change it. It takes time to get over, whatever's there for the last 12 years. And I think we just saw that progressively throughout the 3 seasons. And even to the standpoint of, and I said this before the free period started, is like, he's changed the culture. He's gotten his way every step of it here. But can he slay the dragon? And that's Kellen Moore, that's Stephen Jones, and how he handles, the talent acquisition period. And we saw a change in that too this year. So culture change on that front. I do want to double back though on something you said, and I completely agree with you. Dak was again. Look, Dak and Kellen Moore's relationship is really, really good. They're really good friends. When Dak got here, remember Kellen Moore's above him on the depth chart even.
Yeah.
And you wonder at times how much of a pushback from either side there was, whether the quarterback was pushing back, no, we can't do this, or was your coordinator saying, Dak, hey, let me do this, you're not coaching him hard enough. And I do think that's that there was some dichotomy there of that in the move on forward too, just because of the closeness of them. So I definitely want to hit on that. And to your point there as well, K9, so instead of the hitches and comebacks, more slants and drags, and you're going to look for more yak. And that's the one thing is you talked about some of these guys. The Cowboys are the low end of yak, and they have been killing, even with the points and everything. But you think about a city, let me get the Cooks in here. You think about Pollard even, right?
Yeah.
On some of that stuff. These guys should be able to go be yak monsters, and with this scheme, it should get to that. Now, we'll see how much it changes, because, look, I spent hours when we got Dan Quinn. I had still shots. I was breaking out everything, how he did it. He got here, drafted Micah Parsons, said, yeah, remember this I used to do? Nah, I'm good. We're doing this now. And I'm like, okay, that's what's up. So I'm not going to get out here, because I almost started. So I'm going to bring up the old tape from McCarthy, and I'm going to break it down and run. I said, let me wait and see what he does before I get out here and waste his time again. I think there'll be elements there. They're not changing the terminology, which you don't have to change the terminology to get your scheme put in. Right. So I think that's important as well, because you're not asking the guys to learn different terminology. What is going to happen is it's just going to be different plays are called, and we'll see how much the influx of that will happen here moving forward in the 23 season.
Yeah. And I'm not as big of an X and O guy as you, but I just wanted to ask. So on the offense that they ran last year, it was a lot of option. That's something I kept hearing.
Post snap option routes. Mm-hmm.
So you got to be at the same, the quarterback and receiver have got to be on the same page, where it seems like McCarthy, it's kind of taking that out. Mm-hmm. It's, 3-step drop, hit your spot. Is that what I don't want to call it more of a friendly offense, but is it something more where, get the ball out quickly, get them in space, and let the receivers do their job?
Yeah. And like, teams have option routes. To be clear here, there's teams around the league that run option routes. Majority of them are just pre-snap option routes, though, not post-snap. And that's where the Cowboys got into trouble of the post-snap and the receiver seeing it different. The Dak and whatnot. And McCarthy said it early last season. He hates him, and they got rid of him for a while. And then as Dak came back, we talk about the Dak and Kellen friendship here. Slowly, they started circulating back into the system again. So you can still have options, but the Kansas City, they have option routes. They're primarily before the snap. That's why they run the motion. They get the looks. They know what to get to, and you move forward. And the quicker you allow your team to play without having to think post snap, the better they can be. You make it easier. The coach's job ultimately is, how do I put my players in the best way to succeed? Never mind whatever I think is the greatest and latest ever. How do I use their talents to get them to succeed? And I think what the Cowboys have here, they got to find some offensive line stuff we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But what they can get to here with even Gallup, if you go back to Gallup, and hopefully he's healthy, his last year at Colorado State, he led the nation in broken tackles. Now, I'm not saying he's Terrell Owens, but I'm saying if you put him on some TO type of routes across the drags and everything else to get the ball in his hand, he'll make some plays for you. So those are the things that excite me, where I think they're going to get into with this team and with now Mike McCarthy calling these plays.
Yeah. I agree with that too, man. I was telling Mike, when I was talking about it, I said, you see a lot of that when you think about a team that has a lot of that yak. You look towards a team like maybe like San Francisco, that offense that they run out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you could get similar style to that, and I feel like that's why that offense seems to work no matter who's under center, because it's one of those quick, it's them pace offense that the quarterback don't really got to put a lot of thought into it. I thought last year, it looked like there was a lot of times where Dak was overthinking things a little bit too much. And whether it was due to those, those option routes or not, it just, sometimes, like you said, it's just they weren't on the same page, receiver to quarterback. I feel like, running these, running those quick slants, the drag routes across, those quick timing routes and stuff, where it's just like, get the ball out of his hands and you got something to go to and let it fly, and let these guys make plays after the catch, because we got guys on that. You've seen CeeDee Lamb after the catch. He's good with it. Brandon Cook's another guy, man, that can get the ball and make, and turn a short route into a touchdown home run play. So I'm excited to see what we do, and then the new wrinkles that we add to this offense, because I do think that we got some pieces on this team that can allow us to do that and be that explosive type, and start seeing some yak, because we definitely could use that on this team for sure. And I'm sure Dak would love that too.
Yeah. There was a question about Hopkins, but would you entertain any trade to get D Hop?
I got another fifth. I'm not giving no more than a fifth, but that's
You're
sure.
not going to trade a receiver.
Sure.
Someone asked about
Sure.
Gallup.
Obviously they're not going to get what they want.
Yeah.
And I think right before we got on here, I think I saw something about the GM actually before I came back into the to get on with y'all. Said something about his contracts, the problem that's holding everything up. Yeah, because everybody knows you're trying to do a salary dump.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
Yeah. But the thing we've learned from the salary cap, if you want to get something done, the salary has nothing to do with it.
It's true. It's true. The cap is real. Cap Hill is a fraud.
Yeah.
Smith.
Yeah. You see all these moves these guys are making. So so looking at the draft, and then you kind of have, I don't know if it's your second or post draft wave of free agents. Is there anything else out there that you're kind of, maybe you got your eye on, that veteran or someone that you think the Cowboys might have some intrigue in bringing in?
Yeah, here's the thing. I would say, depending on how linebacker goes, because linebacker's is not a very deep draft. There's guys. I left out Henley earlier too, as well, from Washington State. I think they've had to visit with him as well too. There's a handful of crop of guys there. It's what you really want to get into, because you look at the depth of the linebackers. LVE been relatively healthy the last few years, but you still have to wonder. You have the young guy you drafted last year in Clark.
Yep.
And then after that, the great mystery of Jabril Cox.
That's what I was going to say. What happened to him? I thought he was.
The word is maybe stuff's not happening in practice the right way.
Yeah.
Take it with a grain of salt and what's going on there. Obviously, Malik Jefferson, they signed to a futures deal. They brought in last year, former Longhorn. And then who am I leaving out? Harper. They drafted Devin Harper. Is another guy they have. So that a little concerning. You think you want to add something there, and also you get a guy who helps you with special teams as well too. So if it doesn't fall their way in the draft, there's still guys available. Miles Jack's out here. He had a good season last year.
But that guy's still playing.
Yeah. So there's definitely some guys out here that can come in, give you solid depth. Now the only thing about the Miles Jack, you're probably not going to get any type of special teams play from him. But now you can still lean on maybe Clark going into a second, and he can still give you some some of those snaps on special teams, and then let those guys kind of work in there and have a little bit of a rotation. So they need to add someone. They can get it done after the drafts. It'll be interesting to see how they attack it.
Yeah. Well, that you never know with the Cowboys. They look for that value, the value contracts that they want to get. And someone said Deion Jones.
I thought he got signed. I could be wrong. I thought
Okay.
Deion Jones actually got picked up somewhere. But I mean, he fits. I mean, Dan Quinn's had him. Obviously drafted him and done everything. I'm gonna look real quick. I thought he got signed, but I might be wrong. But if not, Deion Jones is another guy there for sure. That would be in the mix, I would think, if they don't get somebody in this draft.
And just changing gears, looking at the NFC. So get all this other stuff behind the draft, free agency. You're losing. There's really not a lot of there's not a lot in the NFC. I would say it's wide open.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you guys, Kelly? What are you thinking? With the NFC, you saw what San Francisco's doing. They're pinning all their hopes again, on Lance and Purdy, if whichever one they decide to go with. And obviously, the Eagles are a one-hit wonder. The Commanders are going to do their thing. Giants. I mean, I don't understand the whole Daniel Jones love fest. I mean, Jesus God, they signed him for all that money, and they crucified the Cowboys with Dak, but it seems like everyone thinks he's the next coming all of a sudden. So, what's your thoughts? We'll start with you, Kelly. What are you thinking on the NFC as a whole?
I mean, it's the Cowboys' best chance to win the NFC right now. Period. Just because the NFC right now is watered down. I mean, you look at what Philadelphia did. I mean, yeah, they caught lightning in a bottle, but they have been hemorrhaging talent through free agency. They've lost a bunch of guys. Their defense does not look like they're going to be what they were last year. They got some issues to address. I don't think they got enough draft capital to address everything that they lost. So they're going to have some holes. You look at a team like San Francisco. I don't think that, I don't think they have an answer at quarterback right now. I think when you look at them right now, I mean, obviously you saw what Brock Purdy did. I don't know that that's sustainable. Daniel Jones, I'm not bought in on him. I know Daboll was a great coach. He did some great things last year with not a lot of talent. They did bring in some talent on the offensive side of the ball. They've still got some holes, but I mean, there's not one team right now that I look at in the NFC and think, man, that's a juggernaut. That's a team that the Cowboys are going to have problems with. There's just not that team out there in years past. And when you look at, even, to talk about Aaron Rodgers leaving the NFC, to go to even with him in the NFC last year, Green Bay wasn't really a formidable team. So, I mean, you look up and down the NFC, I don't see any team that the Cowboys should really be scared of. So the opportunity, like Nick said, it's a win now year. This is it's time to do it. You know what I mean? You're putting talent around, you're making off-season acquisitions, you're addressing areas of weakness. It's time to do it. You know what I mean? Hit your home runs, get your hits in the draft, and let's do this thing, man. They need to be aggressive, but I'm confident in this year. I think they got just as good a shot as anybody.
Yeah, I think there's teams you want to look at. Detroit's going to be interesting to me, depending on how they draft.
Yeah,
the way they've been coming along, and then they get this draft ahead of them. Chicago spent a lot of money. Quarterback, I should say, turned the corner. Spent a lot of money. Got some draft capital. Got DJ Moore in that. It'll be interesting from their standpoint to see what they're doing. But the big dogs at the end of the day, as we're currently sitting right now, though, it's San Francisco, it's Philly, it's us. That's where it is. Washington, their head coach is who he is. They're going through whatever. Look, they believe in Sam Howell, and maybe he is. Maybe he'll come through that door for them and be that guy. But they have some things they got to figure out on that side. Giants are well coached. The one thing is, Brian D, I like him, man. I liked him. I've always liked him as a coach. They're coached very well to do what they did, what he was able to do with that roster last year. But now you got tape on them.
Yeah.
Now the tape's out. Now how does year 2 go, and how's that going to work out for you when it comes to the Giants and what they got going that way? So yeah, you talk about the quarterbacks around this NFC.
Ain't too many.
David Carr's down there now. If that scares you in New Orleans, if that does, and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, more than ever, and as I said it before, this is about as all in as you'll ever see from the Cowboys front office and what they did So it's
Yeah.
going to be very intriguing to see what they do the rest of the way here in the draft. But yeah, there's no reason for Cowboys fans to feel indifferent after the last 2 12-5 seasons ended not the way you wanted to. Understandable. I was in the building for the first one. It was cold as hell that day as well. And then of course last year, we saw what happened. So yeah, I mean, be excited. The team that has beaten you has been to the NFC Championship game the past 2 years, and the team that they, the Rams aren't who they once were.
Yeah.
Are you worried about Bradford? Lord Sam Bradford. Jeez.
Yeah.
God bless. Stafford coming back and being healthy. What's that going to look like? Now obviously they lost Jalen Ramsey, some other pieces. So they're kind of a wild card.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know what they're going to look like after what happened last season. But yeah, the Cowboys are definitely firmly in the mix though right now.
No, and like my man, the Philly fan, the Eagles will draft a guy like Rieger again or something like that, or get some shitty ass, they bust all their picks up. So we can't worry about their draft stuff. But no, the thing I'll give the Eagles credit for, and I always do, I'm going to be honest, they went all in. I mean, they saw the opportunity and they took it, and that's where I think Cowboys. They kind of slipped up in that second half of the season where they had opportunity to add a piece, add a receiver. It was obvious that the receiver was a problem, and it was going to catch up to him in the playoffs. And I mean, and CD played his ass off, and he couldn't do it all himself. And the other concern I have is with running back, and Pollard's never been the man. And you go back in time to Felix Jones when they got him, and he was a great 2, but man, they made him the man, and his career ended real quick. And I think Pollard's so special. I don't think you want to make him the workhorse. They got to get somebody. I just don't have a lot of faith in Jones. Could you see any scenario? And I'm not saying it should happen. Any scenario where they don't get the running back they want, Zeke's still sitting out there, and they just run it back again, and I think McCarthy will change the percentage, and probably Pollard it'd probably be more high percentage to Pollard. But do you see that as any possibility with the Cowboys?
Boy, you never rule anything out, right? And the longer it goes, it might be, hey, I didn't want this role, or if we believe what Jerry said, right? Hey, we never talked about money, or anything. We just talked about role, and he wanted to go test the market, whatever. And now this thing's rolling. Maybe there's something that happens there, depending, maybe they might have had a handshake deal. Might have been like, hey, look, go see what you got, what's out there. We'll get to the draft, We'll come back and sit down after the draft to see what's going on. It could very easily been that, but boy, out of the gate, I feel like it was a done deal, right? And just part of it in general was, I don't want to say that it wasn't one of the final word from the Cabo thing and everything, but you looked at what happened with Dez Bryant. Now Dez they waited a little bit longer with, and drug it out, and I don't think it completely felt that way. I think very much so they embody him. There's not that little bit of beef like with Steven and Dez or whatever. So yeah, I won't rule it out, but I think I'll give it a 21% chance of it happening.
21%. I like that. I like what you did there.
21%. That's what
I just don't know, Kelly. I don't know your thoughts on running back. McCarthy wants to run the ball, right? He's saying it, so you got to have the guys to do it, and that's why I just keep running back. No, you don't think so, huh? He's always run the ball, though. If you think about his years, he's always people talk about Rodgers, but he had a strong running game, and New Orleans, he had Ricky Williams. I think that was McAllister years.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco, I know they had a crappy quarterback. Frank Gore is so damn old. I think he might even been there when he was there. But whoever it was, he's always been people always look at him as a passing guy, but he's always wanted to run that ball.
I was gonna say, he likes to run the ball. He kind of looked somewhat up there in Green Bay. Some things kind of changed. I think he's just saying whatever right now. I'm wildly intrigued because I don't think currently built. You look at Pollard. Hey, he's a 15-20 touches guy, not carries. Now,
Right.
how you going to fold Ronald Jones and say Malik Davis into that? How many carries you giving those guys? Right. So I'm intrigued. Now they got to add something to the roster, but if they don't add if this is what they wrote, and remember they brought back Rico Dowdle and put him on IR as well.
Yeah.
Same day they brought in Rojo. Boy, if they don't touch the running back room at all, I don't know if we're going to see 30 runs a game.
You don't believe in Malik Davis at all? Is that a
I
guy?
like Malik. I like Malik. Yeah, I like Malik a lot. And I thought he was going to lead the league in rushing yards in the preseason last year. I liked him a lot actually. But how much? Look, even whenever Zeke Pollard got hurt during the season, they didn't trust him yet.
No. Yeah.
They didn't give it to him a lot, and they probably should have a little bit more, not a lot, but I mean some more. So it'll be interesting to see. But that's for me where I look at it. If this is the tangent that they're going to run with, and they end up not drafting a guy, bringing anybody else in, I find it hard pressed for them to say they're going to get 30 rushing attempts per game. It sounds good on paper, but back to what you said, Pollard's not going to tote this thing 20 times. That's not who he is.
No, if they don't get a running back, there's no way.
You know, and what I look to, and me and Mike have talked about it a few times too, as far as running back, is who's going to be that guy that picks up and does the things that Zeke did. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about in the pass blocking situations, man, Zeke was a dog. I mean, we all saw there was plenty of times when Pollard was put in those situations where he missed the assignment completely, or he whiffed on a block, and he's not the guy you trust back there to protect Dak if the blitz is coming to pick up a blitz. You know, and I haven't seen enough from Malik Davis to know, is he the guy that can do that? So, I mean, right now we've got some question marks in that, you know, in terms of that, be like, who's your running back you're trusting to stay back and do some pass protecting? Because right now, I don't know if we have that guy on the roster. Is that guy we pick up through the draft, or, you know, do we, I don't really trust Ronald Jones to do it. So, I mean, I just don't know that we have that guy right now on the roster. So that's another thing that I look at in terms of the running back position, you know, going forward.
Yeah. And with the offensive line questions that you brought up, Nick, is if you don't have that strong offensive line and you don't have a running back that can pick up, you know, the block or two, you're gonna, you know, might be a short season for Dak.
Don't put that in the air. Mike, don't put that in the air in April. Don't do that.
No.
Too soon.
Let's just put it out there. Let's put it, because we got my Eagle fan, and I just wanted to. I like Hurts. I loved Hurts in college. He was one of my favorite guys. I thought he got a raw deal at Bama. I thought he handled it with class. He went to Oklahoma. He proved his worth. And, you know, I hate that he went to Philly. Drives me nuts. But I love those stories. He's a good character guy. So we'd go to another good character guy in Dak. So let's just be real. You know,
Coach's kid, it shows when you talk about Hurts. Coach's kid definitely shows.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. But with Dak, where are we at with him? What's your, you know, everyone says get rid of Dak. Well, who the hell are you going to get first? I mean, if, you know, I was one, and on record, and I don't know what your guys' opinion, when Brady was out there, I was all in to say I would get Brady and I would just run this thing. And if you get to get a Super Bowl, it saw what happened to Tampa. But what's your guys' thoughts on Dak today and the ability to get this team over the hump?
You want to go first, Kate? Now go ahead.
I'm gonna let you take it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, it's funny history to a certain extent when we talk about the Cowboys, and you kind of look at Romo to this point of his career. You look at Dak to this point of his career. Players have changed, right? Coaches have changed. Ownership hasn't changed, and they're both 2-4 in the playoffs, right? That's what they are. Never out of the divisional round, and the one thing I talk about a lot, and the thing that I believe in the most, is good quarterbacks, good players. They'll get you to the playoffs. It's organizations that win in the playoffs, though. It's just what it is. You have to be starting from the top down, because the one thing that drove me up the wall last year in Oxnard, it was on 105.3 The Fan, I think, and Stephen Jones sat there and said, "Well, we've tried it the Rams way before. It didn't work for us." I was like, okay, don't really remember that, but cool. We'll buy that one. We'll buy that one. Okay. And then he said, the other thing he said was, look, he goes, championships aren't wait, how do you say it? Championships aren't won in the offseason.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, you know what? You're right. I said, but you can absolutely lose a championship in the offseason by not taking care of what you need to with this roster building. That's the biggest thing the Cowboys have had an issue. It's not been the draft. It's not been developing players even. You don't do everything you can to build the roster in the right ways, and it hurts you. And whenever you miss on a player, it's ripple effect. So you lost, and you said Cooper, whatever the situation, there's a lot of things going on. He's out of here. Tolbert, come in here. Well, you didn't. You went and got James Washington. He got hurt early in camp. You could have went and did something else, but nah, Tober didn't work out. It was bad for you because you relied too heavy on it. Now you look at the Cowboys, right? Oh, you brought in Cooks. You know, MG's going to be better. Tober's here. And we're still talking about drafting another wide receiver. So that diatribe there, back to the Dak thing, ultimately is he's in a position where he's going into, and you've seen it with Breeze, Manning in their early 30s, really go to a different level. And for me, when Dak first got in the league, it was year 4 for me. And that's kind of going back to whenever Matt Ryan hit his stride. That's when Russell Wilson hit his stride as well. Year 4, then they started really rolling to come into their own. And I saw Dak come to year 4 and things weren't that way. Now here you are. And I think the biggest thing goes back to what we talked about earlier. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
Because Kellen Moore's not here anymore.
Yeah.
And he's going to take all those numbers, all those things. He's gone. And we're going to find out where it is and where it lands there when it comes to Dak. It's in front of him. He has to be better, right? There was things that wasn't his fault last year, but there were things that was his fault as well.
Yeah.
And I think at times the problem is everybody wants to go one side or the other and troll the other side, and whatever the case may be. Truth be told, it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So he does put in the work, but he knows he has to be better. That's the great thing about it, is his awareness. He knows he has to be better than what it was last year. But again, if you don't have Noah Brown as your number 2 wide receiver at times, you're probably going to get better results. Shout out to Jacksonville for the pick 6 for Noah Brown.
I was there to do. I was there to see that.
I'm sorry.
That was one of the most humiliating days. I got into some beef that ended up going viral with some Jacksonville Jaguar fans. I didn't even know they had fans. And I guess he did a reincarnation pregame about me and kicking me out or saying
I
something.
saw that.
And then
Yeah, I remember seeing some of
and
that.
then we got into it, and unfortunately, he got the last laugh. But what he did, like a coward, he blocked me. When if the shoe was on the other foot, I would have been lighting his ass up all day long. So, but I witnessed that, and yeah, so yeah. Enough of the Noah Brown. I was done with that.
And again, and here's the thing. I don't blame Noah Brown. Noah Brown is who he is. He's turned to a professional. Hey, he can block well for you. He's a good special teams guy. He could be your 4th or 5th wide receiver. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Ownership said, no. Come on here and be number 2 until Gallup gets up and you can be our number 3. He got 54? What, he had 54 catches last year? Just too much for your guy that shouldn't be there. Again, I don't blame Noah Brown. He is who he is. But this team, from a team building standpoint, didn't have adequate NFL depth at the wide receiver room. Hence how you end up with the T.Y. Hilton there towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think I agree with you. I think that there's Dak is split, and I think the fan base is very split on Dak right now. There's not a lot of people that are kind of like right down the middle. I know after the game last year, with the San Francisco game, the way that it ended, I was not happy. It seemed like more of what I had seen, from the year before. And it just was not one of those things that left you with a good taste in your mouth. But at the same time, I can also acknowledge, both things can be true. Dak needs to play better, and the front office needs to do a better job at making sure that you don't put him out there with Noah Brown as your number 2 wide receiver. Because they didn't go into the season with a well thought out plan. They just didn't at wide receiver. There's nobody that can see that and think that when we talk about things that happen within the season, people can say those are excuses. Well, it's not an excuse. It's a fact. It is a fact that a lot of those balls bounced off his receiver's hands and ended up as interceptions. Like that happened. That you can't just dismiss that. It's not an excuse. It happened. We saw it. We witnessed it. So he had a lot of, weird shit happen to him that led to, him throwing an odd number of interceptions. I don't think Dak is a turnover prone quarterback. He hasn't shown that through his time so far in the NFL. I think that he does have the tools to be a quarterback that can do it and that can win it all. Because, when you look at a team, to me, perfect example, man. You look at a team like San Francisco, similar talent levels as the Cowboys. Because in my opinion, I thought we had the more talented roster. We may not have been the more physical team. Now, the year before last, they were more physical than us. I thought this year we did a better job with the physicality in play. But I think that we have similar talented rosters. But I think that our quarterback overall is better than what they put on the field. Yet you've seen them be able to put up better results and go further in the playoffs than the Dallas Cowboys because a couple of things. One, they've got really good play calling, and two, they utilize the talent that's on their field with that play calling. So, I mean, and I think that Dak's absolutely better than Brock Purdy. Dak is absolutely better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So you can't sit there and tell me that with this defense that the Dallas Cowboys have, and if you put better offensive talent around Dak Prescott, that this team cannot be a team that could be playing in the NFC Championship. And if you have a quarterback on your team that you believe that can get you to that point, I mean, what more do you need? I mean, we're not going to go out. You're not going to grab a rookie this year and do it. This is a win now year. We've talked about how the NFC is a little bit diluted. Yeah, I agree with you a lot, Nick, about Detroit. I forgot about Detroit. That's a sleeper team right there. And then you've got, obviously Philadelphia is going to be a team we got to contend with, and San Francisco. But there's not one team that's heads and tails above any other team that's out there. And I don't think that Dak is holding us back from getting to where we need to be. I think he's got all the tools to do it. So, I mean, this is his prove it year, though, in my opinion. I think he's got to do it this year. I think he's really got to get some things done, because if you have similar results as you've had the past 2 years, we go into the playoffs, win one game and then the next game get embarrassed and we're bounced and it's poor quarterback play again. That's the reason why we're sitting at home. Then I think this front office is going to have to do some serious soul searching and being like, hey, is this the guy that we want to be our quarterback, for the next 5 to 6 years down the road? But right now, Dak's our guy. We're riding with him. I'm riding with him. I think he's the guy that can get it done. And we'll find out this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had, Malik Rozier on the show from the U. And that was Tuck, we had a little Florida State Miami rivalry. And I had him on because he had made a tweet after something, I think after a playoff game, and he said, sorry to break your heart, Cowboys fans, you're never going to win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. So I invited him on, and he came on the show and we talked about it. And, one of the questions I had, because he made some good points, but one of the things he said is he's maybe too comfortable, because he had more there and his friend there, and really never been pushed. There's never been a quarterback to push him. So then I would ask you, Nix, would you get a quarterback? Would you do it? Yeah, I hate to give Philly maybe some props. Would you draft a quarterback early and have maybe a little pressure on that? Or do you think that could backfire?
No, I don't think you would draft one early. The Cowboys aren't set up for it. I think, will they get a guy in the draft? Sure. Just like they got Ben DiNucci. And that's
I don't want no damn Ben DiNucci. I'm talking about a guy that has some ability.
Look, you're looking at Aiden. You're looking at Aiden O'Connell out of Purdue. I wouldn't draft Max out of TCU, but he's probably a guy you have to think about. And then Tune down from the University of Houston. Those are the kind of guys you're going to look at.
Yep.
That's what you're going to see the Cowboys bring in here and go for it. And here's the conundrum here with the Cowboys. When it comes to Dak, there's no difference than Romo. What they're never willing to do is fully rebuild. It's always retool on the side.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to get you a quarterback in that scenario is you got to suck it up, or you got to trade a bevy of goods to go get a guy.
Yep.
And guess what? Cowboys don't want to do either one of those things.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting part here with that going into the season and whatnot. But I do believe in the comfortability part, not on the field, but just, hey, Kellen Moore and me, we're in this, we're running, we're going back and forth. I think it is going to be good. People go back, right, and the quarterback coach, remember they got, who's our guy? Kitna.
Yeah.
And you saw that maybe open up and do more things. And people for years, we should get Kitna back. Same rules kind of apply here too when it comes to Dak, I think, with Kellen Moore. Is, okay, yeah, you're not getting Kitna back, right? But you're getting a different voice to look at the game differently, to do certain things. So I think those things very well. Now, if he can't digest it, he can't handle it, sure, then you have to have a conversation to do it. But no, I don't think if Hayden Hooker, if he was there at 58,
mm-hmm.
the Cowboys could take it and say, look, the value, so on and so forth, and get it. But I just don't think they're going to take a quarterback in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's fair. It's just the Cowboys are in that spot like a lot of teams are. Your quarterback is good, could be really good. Is he really good enough to get you to the next level? Because I won't give him I don't think any of us have given him a pass, but that San Francisco game, that last game, that hurt me. That hurt me.
I mean, here's the thing though. But if you had some weapons, because I think if Paul doesn't leave the game, I think they win. And Warner Warner on the other side, the linebacker, who made a great play, by the way. late. He made a great play the year before too. Jeez, they said as soon as Pollard was done, they knew it was a wrap.
Yeah,
and that's why I didn't understand. And man, we'll talk all night because you're gonna get me started. Because this game I still get in my mind. Why didn't they run Davis? Why didn't they give him? Because you saw Zeke was shot. I mean, he was not able to do anything. Whether the injury, whatever, he's just. I mean, his body just. It's at that point. But goddamn, man, it's a freaking. It's like it's. You got to win, man. All stop.
And then you got the lazy. Oh, I didn't get both feet in bounds from the Dalton Schultz.
I would have made him walk home. There ain't no way his ass would have been on.
I was like, bro, how do you do that? Like, then the interception hinder shot. Like, how did he not catch it?
Or you know what? One of the biggest plays, man, that replays in my mind over and over and over again is Trayvon Diggs just not lighting up George Kittle.
That too. How do you?
Here's the thing, though.
You talk about that was a big play, and just
if you would have. Here's the only thing that sucks about that is I guarantee you, if you would have
probably would have got a penalty.
It'd have been a damn penalty.
Oh yeah,
and that sucks. And that sucks. And you're in that moment like, hey, and God bless. Yeah. And that whole play in general came out the line. He wasn't even guard. That was the play where I was like, okay, it's okay. I see how it is.
Everything that can go wrong. I just want to give him a shout out. My man Steve, though, Tyler Van Dyke from the U, got to give him some love. He's got to step it up because my Hurricanes were hurting last year, so he's got to step up his game. Come to Dallas, but no, that game is just. And you and I were at the San Francisco the year before, and I think we were kind of, we were concerned. This game going to, I thought we had this. I thought we were clearly the better team, and you got to obviously give credit where credit's due. But that one broke my heart, and it was, we didn't get the easy, and that's why I kept telling people. People are like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. We'll just, we'll do this or that. No, you want to get that division title because look what Philly did. I mean, talk about a cakewalk.
Yeah.
And I mean, those opportunities don't come across that often. So
here's the thing: we end up with whenever we get the number one seed, we end up with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I know.
We get Aaron Rodgers. What's this mess about?
Yeah, they got Daniel Jones.
Right. Yeah.
I was just happy to get the Tom Brady monkey off our back, and now the schedule. You got the Jets, and it looks like Aaron Rodgers. And where are the Jets coming? The Jets are coming to Dallas, so that's gonna be a fun one too. To hopefully maybe kind of, get that demon out of here too.
There it is. I like it.
But anyway, man, we've been kicking it for an hour. Kelly, is there anything I jotted down some quick notes? Is there anything that I missed or that you wanna touch on?
Not that I can think of, man. My guy Nick's brought the heat today.
No, good man.
That's it. We're over. We're done. Oh, y'all, man. Yeah.
We're lightway. Hey,
these are rookie numbers.
Now y'all
gotta get these numbers up. These rookie numbers, right? Don't keep me started. We'll be here till midnight. People are like, damn, shut up.
I know, but you're a Florida guy. So this was a Florida week. We had, we had Ernie Mills on, play with the Cowboys yet last night, and he's from Denellen. Just north of Ocala. So we have a Florida groove going. I'm actually working on a surprise for J Tuck. I got a little surprise for him. I'm working on that.
Awesome.
That we're gonna do it. We're gonna do a show. So no, it's a lot of fun. But I tell all these guys, all I do is listen to podcasts. I listen to you in the morning. I just replay, J Tuck and Law Nation and West Coast. I can't even tell you the last time I really sat and listened to NFL Network or any of these guys because. Yeah, it's all BS. And that's the problem with the Cowboys and the Cowboy fans is they watch ESPN, they watch First Take, they watch all that shit. And it's like watching Fox News and MSNBC. You start believing it.
It's true.
Regurgitate the same damn played out lines that you hear on all these other dumbass shows. And you're like, man, I swear I heard them say that same shit on Colin Cowherd. Or I heard Stephen A say that same shit.
Yeah.
Come up with some original material. But yeah, I mean, for anybody that's in the chat that has not listened to Pick Six Sports and doesn't know about what Nick's has got going on, man, you guys definitely got to check him out. Always doing something good. And I'm telling you, if you get in them spaces, you find yourself in a time warp. Next thing you know, you're lost. It's Saturday. Trust me, I've done it before, man. I've started one night on Thursday, or Friday night. I'm in there at like 7, 8 o'clock. Next thing I know, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. We're still talking Cowboys football. I don't know what the hell happened. It was like it was
we'll
crazy.
Hey, but I'm rolling. I'm rolling. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
I will say one thing too. I was talking with Jay Tugg about it. I was like, the one thing I miss about Florida is the rivalry from the college. Because boy, I don't know, Florida State Canes, man, they get after it during those weeks and everything. Texas,
not so
nah.
much.
It's really not like, don't talk a little noise here or there. Now, if you go up there for the Red River rivalry, it gets a little excessive and stuff. But it's not. It's a different heat. Now, high school football here in Texas, light years ahead of shit talking. Excuse my language. That's okay on this channel. I don't know. Light years ahead in the shit talking things going on than Florida. Completely different vibe. But that college vibe in Florida hits a little bit different.
Isn't it weird with high school in Florida? Because I agree with you. The high school in Florida, I grew up in South Florida, and you never had the crowds like you do in Texas. But the Florida, I mean, that's one of the hottest beds, and for producing college and NFL talent. Right. I just don't know. And it's the same with their football teams. I mean, Tampa, they're going to be giving tickets away this year. Miami,
Baker Mayfield, come on now. Baker Mayfield, come on now.
I know. They're all excited. But I tell you what, the Bucs did a smart thing last year because my guy I worked with had season tickets. In order to renew your tickets, you had to do a 2-year agreement.
They knew.
Yeah, they knew.
They knew. It's like, hey, man, Brady will be out the door. Hey, they got to sign on for 2.
Yeah. So they were smart. They knew what they were doing. But one of the other great things with Knicks, and you saw it in the pregame, one of the best people to hang out with at tailgate. I mean, the tailgate parties at 18, with the whole group there is just phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to that. I tell people, I go to the games, and the games are almost secondary, and that sucks coming from a diehard Cowboys fan whose lifelong dream was to have season tickets and be able to go to all these games. But I look forward to the days before and the day of the game. I just have a great time hanging out with all the Cowboy fans, and especially all the stuff that you guys do, man. It's a blast. So I know I'm looking forward to it. I know Kelly, you're looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, from Texas Live to the parking lot and everything, man, it's just a well-oiled machine to have a lot of fun and see the faces and get after the day before, as you said, and of course the day up. As I tell everyone, if you haven't been to a game though, go to a noon game first. Because if you start out with a Sunday night game or a Monday night game, you're gonna go to a new game and be like, "Hey, man, this ain't the same."
No, it's great.
You got to work your way up.
Don't jump in head first. Don't do that. Start with a noon game and then progress your way up.
Those noon ones suck, though, man.
They bad.
They suck. You can, and the funny thing is when you go like the Bronco game was the easiest one to remember. I was walking. I had my nephew with me, and I knew. I didn't feel good. I think we even had a time change. I think the clocks changed the night before or something. And it was just like I just had a bad feeling, and man, they just got the shit beat out of me. I was so embarrassed that game.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, I think Kelly, you was at that game.
I was at that game.
Yeah, I remember that.
He might have been the Jinx.
No. Yeah, we went. I think that same year we played Atlanta. That was like the week after, right?
Yeah,
I was at the Atlanta game the week after. So a little bit different result for my 12 o'clock game. Than what y'all dealt with.
Now, do you have season tickets, or do you just go? Or
nah, I just pop in when I can. I got a pretty good lane to get tickets to do things.
Yeah.
So the way my shop is and different things I got going on, it's not always free to go do stuff. So I try to get out there. Usually for week 1, the home opener. I try to always be there for the home opener.
Yeah.
I'll hit maybe another one during the season. Of course, the playoffs, if we're hosting, I'm definitely trying to be in the building for that.
Yeah. No, I usually, I have my season tickets, and it just every primetime game I'm going to go to. And then like if I have friends, I got friends who are Bears fans. So we went to the Bears game or whatever. It just depends. And like I said, I wasn't going to the Jets. I was selling the Jets, but if Aaron Rodgers is there, my ass going to be there.
Yeah. That part might be last chance you get to see him.
No, we gotta.
Might be the only time we ever get a chance to beat him. That gummy. I mean, we beaten him before, but it's just been a while.
But the thing
2016 we got him
about
pretty good.
the thing about it is just the ripping our heart out. Like even last year even, it's just like, what the hell? And then in the playoffs, just I can't even. Yeah. And I got friends who are Packers fans, and it's just I was so happy when now that he's leaving, I just get rid of it. Now he's back. So,
Yeah,
but
it's crazy too. Now I'm not trying to hold y'all up, but
no, it's
the
cool.
Cow-
I'll
the,
talk for
the
10
thing-
hours. I'm telling you, keep me
Okay,
going. This is what I do for a living, as you can tell.
Oh, fair enough. It's crazy to think like you literally have like Packers fans that are like 40 years old, and all they know was Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a new world, baby.
Yep.
It's about to be a new world in Green Bay.
Welcome to Jordan Love era.
Yeah.
Well,
If they hit 3 times in a row, I swear to God.
I don't.
No.
I mean, I don't see it. Do you see it, Kelly? I just
I don't. I don't even think Green Bay thinks that he's the guy. I think they may draft a quarterback this year.
Yeah. Really?
I mean,
I like it. It's spicy. I like that, Kay. I like that, Kay.
I don't know, man. I just feel like that they don't. I think if they thought as much of him as they did, they might have ran Aaron off a little bit sooner. You know what I mean? And might have got him out of there a little bit quicker. Because I mean, for the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, you're getting maybe 2 years at most, maybe not even that, but just because the guy's been so finicky about whether he wants to play, wants to retire, wants to play. I mean, because if things don't go his way this year, if he goes to the Jets this year and he has a disappointing season, I mean, is he going to want to come back for another year? I mean,
right.
You don't know. That's a coin flip.
Just how he's literally turned into eerily even, I guess. Brett Favre at the end of his run at Green Bay.
Yeah, it is.
So
it's
weird.
Almost. I know. Well, because I mean, Favre ended up with the Jets before he went to Minnesota.
Right.
So it's like he's following that same career path. It's like what's going? What am I says? Deja vu and shit. What's going on here? So, I don't know, man. I mean, you got this man going into a darkness retreat and shit. So I mean, fucking darkness for 3 days. And shit. The man's contemplating life decisions and shit. I don't know if that's the guy that I want to put my hopes and dreams around. This man don't even know if he wants to play or host Jeopardy or what. Like,
no, he's interested. So, Nix, how far back do you go with the Cowboys?
80s.
Without me asking your age.
That's fine. 80s for sure.
Okay.
Like I won bets on the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl.
So it was funny when I was a kid. I was in middle school, like in the 80s, right? Yeah, probably middle school. And Dallas, that was then they started sucking after their last playoff game. So
Gary Hogan years
were good. All I saw was I was the only one wearing a Cowboy starter jacket back and they, I used to get laughed at and shit. And so then when they got good, everyone started wearing all this stuff. So I always used to ask the question, and I'll ask you. I'm not putting you on the spot. I say, hey, you're a real Cowboys fan. Forget the 90s. When's the last time they were in the playoffs? Who'd they play and what was the score?
Last playoff game. Was it the Rams?
That was it. That was
Rams 24-0.
It was I think it was 20-0 or
20-0. Yeah.
But it was,
I know we got shut out.
Dickerson set a playoff record, I think.
Yeah.
Yards in a game. But that's how you used to, because the Cowboys sucked so long.
Oh,
That's why people don't understand. There was a time, the 70s were great, but the 80s, man, they were.
What's even crazier about that game is I was probably about 5 years old. What was that? That was 84?
85.
Okay, I was
because they had the star on there.
Yeah, that's right. So I was 6. I remember to this day, I was at my grandmother's house in the living room watching that game. And I remember it to this day.
I was at my cousin's. This you'll laugh at. I was at my cousin's birthday at Galaxy Skateway roller skate rink, and I was watching it on the TV.
Yeah,
and I was so pissed.
Yeah. I was just looking at it. I was like, I just remember just shaking my head, and then I walked out and just went outside and had the football. I was just throwing it up and down, contemplating life. I was like, we didn't score a point. I don't understand.
And that was the end of it. Now this man was born in 85. So that leads me to, Kelly, your kids and my kids and Nix, I don't know if you have any kids. My kid, all he knows is disappointment. He's a Cowboys fan and he's also a Miami fan. So it's just been a very, very tough childhood for him. And
Y'all
yeah,
almost like a basketball school in Miami now than a
I
football school. It's
know
crazy,
Yeah.
like mind blowing.
they're bringing it, man. If they could, I think UConn was better, but I think they would have beat San Diego State if they could have passed them. But I was in South Florida watching the game, and Kelly and I were talking about it yesterday. But they I was in Boca, right where their
Mhm.
college is there, and we're trying to get seats to watch my game. My game was after it. It was 45-minute wait, and then the whole place is FAU. The last I mean, it was. I wish I would have recorded it.
Yeah.
And man, when he sunk that shot, that place
Mm.
went to nothing, and it was almost like it reminded me of the Cowboys San Francisco playoff game because
Air just
and
sucked out of the
it
building.
emptied out so damn fast, and like we were all talking about we're going to Texas Live, we're going to be doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone just went straight to either the airport, and I'll sit in the airport, or I'm going back to the hotel.
Yep. Like, I'm out.
Peace.
I'm out.
Oh yeah, man,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe you hit that shot, but yeah, it's a fun time, man. Yeah,
No.
it's boy, I tell you, those mid and late '80s, them Gary Hogaboom years.
Gary, Palour,
Oh,
Kevin
God, see,
Sweeney. Remember, Sweeney was a savior during the strike. But then you get to the 90s, and like with Kelly, you're a few years younger than me. Were you more 90s?
8. I was born in 80.
Okay, so so you get that 90s
Yeah.
Cowboys, and you just think it's going to last forever. I mean,
yeah.
the magic carpet ride, baby.
it was just, and I have Dave Campo coming on. He's coming on with us in a couple weeks, and I just want to pick his brain. Like we had Switzer on and kind of talked about him replacing him. But what the hell were these coaches thinking when you're hearing, because they kept all the coaches? Remember when they got rid of Jimmy Johnson, the coaches were under contract. I think Norv Turner was the only one who left because he got a head coaching job. So, all these other guys, maybe Wannstedt had left the year before to go to Chicago, but Butch Davis and all these other guys were hanging around. I mean, what the hell was going through their mind? They just, it's like
anarchy. Anarchy. And then, Campo, obviously Mr. 5 and 11, but that's because they were in such, the way they had handled all these contracts, they had to purge and do everything. So, people forget about Campo and how good of a DB coach he really is.
No, he was 20 years with the team.
Yeah. Really good DB coach. And, as you're talking about, the age differences and stuff, that's one thing I bring up in the spaces a lot is, like I said, we're in such a lane of social media and everything now. It's like there's definitely a difference. And 9 times out of 10, I can tell when I'm talking, I'm like, I can already know, okay, they were born here or they were born here. Like they were born in just all the 90s, or they were born just right after the 90s, or they were born in the 70s. Like I can tell because there's such a distinct difference in a lot of the opinions and whatnot. And I think at times it's interesting because those things get layered in how broad the fan base is. So things get pushed out that really aren't that way in certain lanes, but it gets tagged because of the different angles and whatnot. It's such an intriguing standpoint because that was the big thing whenever Dak was going through the franchise tag situation. And I know people personally that were Cowboys fans until they fired Tom Landry, which he had to buy the team for the price he did. That's a different conversation. We'll be here all night.
Yeah.
They immediately left and became either Houston or New Orleans fans. And they're New Orleans fans to this day, the people that I know. And I told them, I was like, during that time, I was like, this will be a bridge gap moment in this fan base because these kids, I ain't trying to be old man and get off my lawn, but these younger fans that haven't seen success, right? And Dak's really going to be kind of their guy, and they don't get this done. It will push people now more than ever, where a lot of fans just follow players anyways. Will get them out of the door. And I thought that was the biggest reason why I thought the deal would get done with Dak, was just off the strength of that. And I think they understood that too.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, and I didn't know if Kelly, you wanted to chime in.
That's a good point though. I really never thought about it like that, but yeah, I mean, you got these younger kids that are younger generation of fans, and yeah, I mean, they need some success.
Yeah, they do.
The thing with the Cowboys is to your point of what you said with Jerry Jones is he's a marketing guy. So when you get Bijan Robinson, if there's a chance to take him. Think of the history of running backs that they get through. I mean, the running back ends up being the true face of the team, and that kind of stuff that goes with Emmett and Tony and Herschel Walker when he was here and all of that stuff. So, that's why I think if Robinson is close, I mean, from a marketing standpoint, and that's what gets you in trouble. That's what, because Jerry would have got Manziel, and Jerry, there was a couple decisions. Jerry, Jerry was going to jump up to get Paxton Lynch to, he was the cute quarterback coming out of, so those are the things that get you in trouble where you're hoping, all right, let's be smart. But if I haven't watched Bijan play, I'm more, like I said, I'm a South guy, so I mainly are just watching SEC and ACC. But everyone says he's the real deal. So I mean,
that number 5 is available. I know the punter has 5, but he can kiss that 5 goodbye. They draft Bijan, especially after Gilmore didn't take it.
Do you guys like the numbers change where it's kind of there any number they want?
Oh, now I'm going to be the get off my lawn guy. No, I absolutely hate it. I'm like Tom Brady. I hate it.
We're boomers.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't mind.
Look, I'll be a boomer. I'm lucky to be here in this age. I like it in the college game, actually. I do like it in the college game, but I thought that was the thing that separated college. Look, college is big business, right? I'm not on this mindset of, well, it's amateur football. No, it's been big business. I'm not even on that lane. But I just thought it was a separation, right, of that into the NFL. So, yeah, me personally, I'm not a fan.
Well, they had said, I don't know if either one of you guys know if there's truth to it. Tom Brady had said something about the jerseys. There was something with the play calling or something. The way
it was messing him up with the different numbers. Yeah,
messed it up. I mean, is that bullshit, or is it any truth to it?
Maybe it was for him. I don't know. I mean, I think that's probably a player by player distinction. But I mean, hell, that game's going so fast. You're seeing your color, their color, and moving on. Now, pre-snap. Now, maybe that's a little bit of the adjustment period, right? Now I got a linebacker wearing 11. Well, is he a linebacker? Now we got zeros out here as they're putting up here. I'm like, boy, they didn't put the 0. And, of course, Curse is going to be wearing the 0. How odd is that going to be looking at Curse with the 0 on?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of 0. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all numbers. I'm not.
When you're lining up, and you got to make calls, I could, that probably messes with you a little bit. But, I mean, you're Tom Brady. You'll figure it out, right? I get it. But, you figure it out.
Yeah. 0 just kind of reminds me of the softball guy. Played a lot of softball back in the day. The guy that wore 69, right? You had the one guy that always had to wear
always.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. So yeah, we got zeros and I don't know. Even I remember going back to Keisha, he had 19.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I can live with that. I can live with that. But we got one zone corners and everything. I don't know. Again, I'm boomering out here. Sorry, chat.
No.
I'm boomering it.
No, I'm a traditionalist. It's the same thing. Like people. Now, don't get me wrong. I love some of the uniforms. They have that all black Cowboys one with the black helmet and white, and they should. I love the white. I
want all the jerseys. Oh yeah, all of those? I see. Now this is where I'm not. I want us to have as many different jerseys as Oregon does. I want all the different Cowboys jerseys.
I just don't want. I don't want to change it too much. Every now and then, I love the Rush. The Rush jersey. But
they finally got it right with the white helmet. Thank God.
I love the
white Rush jersey.
Yeah. No, so I'm coming around though. My kids get me. He's hipping me up a little bit. I'll get there. I grew up on 2 Live Crew, Poison Clan.
Come on, you're in Florida, y'all. It's all about the different colors in there. Come on now, you have the melting pot over there. I already know. I
still got the in the trunk and all that. I'll roll it down when some kids roll by and they don't know nothing about no MCADE and all that stuff.
No.
I'll educate them.
No Poison Clan. They don't know about the Poison Clan.
No,
but here's the thing though. Look, at least I would like to have a blackout jersey. That'd be kind of cool. Because every team kind of seems to have that.
Yeah.
A little blackout, or in the color rush, and we did the all blue color rush instead of the all white. We don't have to get too crazy, but I definitely like a little bit of switch up here and there. What I really like for them to do is rock the old 1960 Cowboy on the side of the helmet one game. I would like. Yeah, I'd like for that to go down. Probably never will. Yeah. But anytime I see merch with the old logo, it's instant. It's take my money, shut up, take my money all the time, man. I'm always on the lookout for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad they're putting the throwbacks. You're getting the Bucks ones and the Patriots and all those old.
Getting the Kelly Green Eagles as well this year.
That shitty ass. I hate
Well, I just like the fact that everybody in the NFC East last year decided it was time to break out their new jerseys when they played us. Oh, hell, even the Bengals did, I think. Or was it Chicago? One of them. Like, everybody when they played us.
White. Didn't they wear the white ones?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But
Game
like, everybody, they're playing the Cowboys, and let's break out our new jerseys.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
I hate the Eagles. I can't help it. And the trouble is I got a lot of good friends that are Eagle fans, so that's what makes it hard because I do like them, but I just can't.
Well, it's like it's just for that one particular set of 3 hours on that whatever particular Sunday, you ain't gotta like them.
No, well, it was funny because Ernie Mills had said it yesterday, and he said it, right, Kelly?
Yeah.
He said his buddy's an Eagle fan. He goes, most obnoxious guy that ever, but it's like it's in their blood. They can't help it.
That's fair.
I don't know.
It's very fair.
Anyway, what now? We're just shooting the shit. So
well, I was about to say, man, my son is blowing me up. I'm taking him to go see that new Mario Brothers.
We'll get out of here.
That new Mario Brothers movie tonight. I got him tickets to that. He's like, "Are we going to that movie?"
No, get going, man. And Nick,
all right, man. But hey, Nix, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
man.
anytime.
Really
Hey,
enjoyed it, man.
you ever need me to stop by the cave? Just let me know.
No,
Absolutely.
Looking forward to partying with you at some games, man.
Yes, sir. You know what's going down. We'll get it linked up.
Yeah, everyone else, man. I appreciate it. You guys, we'll see you next week. Peace out. Take care.